Hello, everyone. We're just waiting that all of you are getting connected to this webinar. Hello. Just a few seconds to be sure that we're all together at this webinar. I think it's okay. So hello, everyone. Good morning. So I am Guillaume Schaeffer, the director of the trade show ALL4PACK EMBALLAGE PARIS. And I am very pleased to welcome you to this new webinar, the fourth webinar of the year. And actually, I would say that it's our very first international webinar. And so, as you see, it will be in English. Today, we will discuss about 1 hour about the packaging at a global level and try to answer the question that you see on the screen, which is what balance can be found between international standards and local consumer expectations. And so it's a big subject looking at the packaging industry that, as you know, is very challenged every day on many aspects. And to answer this question and learn more with concrete examples from all over the world, I am very pleased to welcome two international women and experts in packaging. So welcome to Soha Atallah, Vice President of the World Packaging Organization, and Sylvia Vitale Rotta, founder and CEO of Team CREATIF Group and President of EPDA, the European Packaging Design Association. So thank you very much, ladies, for being with us today and for sharing your expertise with the auditors. And so, dear auditors, welcome again. Please note that you are able to ask questions all along the webinar. You can start now, from now. You can ask questions in the Q&A section part on this Teams platform, and we will try to answer these questions all along the webinar, or at least we will keep a time at the end of the webinar to answer them. But so let's start our discussion about the subject of today's webinar with you, Soha Atallah. Hello again. So you graduated from LAU, the Lebanese American University, and the Harvard Business School. With over 22 years of experience, you're an international industrial expert with extensive experience in industrial development, packaging, marketing, and also food safety throughout the Middle East, North Africa, and Asia. You have been working for 15 years with UNIDO as an international expert on packaging and marketing, and you have established yourself as a proactive player in the Lebanese industry, funding also LebanPack, the Lebanese Packaging Center. And today, you are Vice President of the World Packaging Organization and World Start Coordinator, WPO, that we are very proud to announce as our new partner at ALL4PACK EMBALLAGE PARIS 2024. So Soha, maybe to start, just a few words on the World Packaging Organization, and I leave you the floor.
Yes. Thank you, Guillaume, for the introduction. I'm very happy to be with you guys today in our first webinar with ALL4PACK. I'm also very proud about the partnership that we have with ALL4PACK, with WPO, which is the World Packaging Organization. WPO is a kind of international federation of national packaging center, and we have so far more than 70 countries with us, and I'm very happy that France is now represented with us and that we have ALL4PACK as a strategic partner. One of the main missions of WPO is to increase awareness on packaging for food safety, for sustainability, for a marketing tool, and many other important missions. And we participate in many trade shows around the world. And next year, we are very proud that WPO will be present in ALL4PACK next November in Paris. So I will start now my presentation. Today, I'm going to discuss with you about the different factors that affect the packaging industry, because packaging is like any kind of product or any kind of industry that is affected by the latest factors that are affecting our life on a daily basis. So we're going to cover the political, economical, social, ecological, for sure, the environmental, the sustainability, and last but not least, the legal framework. Unfortunately, we were happy that COVID ended. We were all locked out for 2-3 years. And then, unfortunately, we are stuck with another global crisis, which is the war in Ukraine and now the war in the Middle East. What's the effect on the packaging industry? The effect is on the industry as well as a general. We have a lot of inflation in the prices of raw material. We have a lot of fluctuation in the prices. And that's why the consumers have become more sensitive when buying their product. So packaging should be more cost efficient because now the consumers are very careful about how to spend, and sometimes they are shifting to less costly packaging material. And this is putting a strain on the packaging producer and on the brand owner to shift, for example, into monomaterial or into other packaging that will extend the shelf life of the product. We also have a partnership with Mintel, which is a global research company, and sometimes they provide us with their statistic. So here we can see, for example, in Brazil, 29% of the consumer are saying that they want to shift their purchase into bigger pack sizes because they want to cut on expenses instead of buying several packs, so they buy the bigger one. Also in Canada, 46% of the adults there, they said that now they look more carefully on the prices. And in Singapore, they are saying that sometimes we have loyal brands for us, but due to the crisis and due to the inflation, they are shifting into less expensive product. And I also forgot to say in my introduction, I'm also the World Star coordinator. In WPO, we organize World Star, which is one of the most global packaging around, where only winner of their national packaging competition, they can apply. And here I want to show you how example of World Star winner, how they are adapting to these factors. For example, here we can see that they are adapting more packaging efficient material in order to extend the shelf life of food. So consumer will be happy that when they buy this product, they know that the shelf life is extended. Also, another example how World Star winners, they are shifting into the monomaterial. And here, let me tell you something. The monomaterial is reflecting to both factors. The economical factor, because the monomaterial is cheaper than the hybrid or different material, but also the monomaterial is more easy for recycling and more easy for waste sorting. Other factors, the social factors. We know that our consumers are affected by latest social factors and ethical values, for example, the vegan, the animal welfare, and they want their brands to be aligned with these social and ethical factors. And sometimes they are willing even to boycott some brands. So what is the effect on the brand owner on the packaging? Brands should be more honest. And how they want to communicate these values and their ethical value is through claims on their packaging. So they should be more transparent and informing their consumer about it on their packaging, but for sure they should be authentic. They should not write anything that is not true because the consumers tend to read more and more. The example of some social or environmental aspect is the animal welfare. For example, even consumer, when they want to buy chicken or meat, they want to know if it's they were in a cage, what kind of food they were fed, and also the organic positioning, where are they coming, and also they care about the social responsibility of their brand owner. For example, the child labor, women empowerment, and all these aspects. That's why claims are very important. And we can see also here some example, the vegan trend. I also witnessed this when I organized event. Many people ask for vegan, for vegetarian. So the packaging design should also be affected by this. And here also from Mintel, for example, here you can see 51% of the consumer in the United States, they are saying that they are ready to boycott company that they are unethical regarding their own values. Also here, more example from World Star winners. Sometimes the choice of the packaging material, if you choose craft, or sometimes the way you use less ink, and all of this is a kind of response to the social aspect requested by the consumer. And here also we can see the design Black Lives Matter, because we had a lot of problem in the States regarding this issue. So the packaging design is even reflecting this social issue or political issue on their packaging. Other than these factors that I mentioned, also the COVID had its effect on the consumers. So even us, until now, we all have the antiseptic with us wherever we go. We sanitize and we clean, and this is gonna stay with us, which is good for the hygiene. And I'm telling you something, people think that people are only concerned about the sustainability. They are concerned about the sustainability, but if you see here, the hygiene and the food safety and the shelf life is really the top priority for the consumer when they want to choose their brands and their packaging, and for sure the convenience and the ease of use. And we can see the environmental impact. So hygiene is really very important. And we can see here also that, for example, 74% of Brazilian consumers are concerned and are obsessed of who has touched their product before them. So they want really to be sure and keen that the packaging is really protecting them against viruses and other bacteria. Same for the US consumer, 62% are really, they care about their hygiene of their food products. Here also, more example on the convenience. We said packaging is very important for the convenience, especially if we are talking about elderly people. The accessible packaging design is very important. How to open it, here we can see the finger tab to open the lid without breaking our nails, and also easy grip, how to close, how to open. All of this is important for the consumers. And here also more example of World Star winners. Technology is affecting our life in a very strong way. We don't have time to talk about the artificial intelligence, but we really, I think, Guillaume, we need more webinar. It's even new to me, and I'm always learning about how artificial intelligence is invading our life, and it will also affect the packaging industry, especially when we talk for logistics, for e-commerce and social media. So technology is affecting us a lot, and we can see also the use of QR code. So packaging producer and brand owners, they are using more and more QR code because they don't have a place to put all their information. So they place the QR code because the consumer are really eager to learn and to read more and more. So that's why we have the QR code. And as I said, the artificial intelligence is there. We need to learn about it more and more because it's going to affect the packaging industry, the food industry, and all our life. Here also more example on the e-commerce for the QR code used by some World Star. Here, by the way, Trivium Packaging, I think it's a French company. And you can see here many countries. We have winners from 41 countries in World Star, and I'm really aiming to see more and more French companies. Here is a good example from Mondelez. It's really, I like this example because they are using the QR code not only to give information about the product, but to give information on how the consumer can recycle and dispose the packaging waste. So this is also one of the examples how they are combining different factors, and they are also putting information about the family that they are cultivating, cacao and other milk product that is used in this Cadbury chocolate. The most important factor that we read and all our social media and even all our World Star winners are highlighting is the sustainable packaging. And tomorrow, by the way, I'm happy to represent WPO in the COP28 in Dubai, where world leaders are going to discuss the impact of the industry and the impact of the pollution on the climate change. And packaging has a lot of role to do, because people, unfortunately, they look at packaging as packaging waste, but this is not true, because packaging has a lot of a good aspect in extending shelf life and in avoiding food waste. And here there's a lot of strain on the packaging producer in developing optimum packaging design. What is optimum packaging design? It's the way to design your packaging and to avoid over packaging and to avoid under packaging, because the under packaging is as dangerous as the over packaging, because the under packaging will lead to packaging waste and will affect the food security in the world. And I will also tell you that the consumers are really ready more and more to conduct the 3 R's of the sustainable packaging: reuse, reduce, recycle. So the consumers are putting a lot of pressure on their brands and on the packaging industry to move into sustainable packaging. But there's something that I really want to highlight in this webinar, and I will highlight it in the COP. Consumers are confused. We are packaging professionals, all of us. We know the difference between biodegradable, oxo-biodegradable, recycled or recycling. But let me tell you, my mom or my kid, they don't know the difference of these words. So we really need, as packaging industry, as packaging exhibitions, a company like ALL4PACK, WPO, to put more effort on educating the consumers. We really need to educate the consumer about what is the difference between organic packaging or bio packaging, and also we need to tell them that plastic is not really as bad as they think, because there's a new technology with plastic. Plastic can be, as we said, bioplastic, it can be recycled, and we need to have a holistic approach, because sometimes plastic is inevitable. We need to use it to extend the shelf life, especially we are talking about dairy products, yogurt, or milk, or all these kinds of products where plastic is important. Here also more example of World Star winners. For example, here the Coca-Cola bottle here, it won the Sustainability Award because we can see that they are no more using the label. So it's directly engraved. Also here, C-Stretch, it's the first manual stretch wrap made of paper in order to stop using the plastic wrap, the traditional one. And here also from Australia, it's a sugar cane pulp for the hot beverages. More example of World Star winner, we can see more and more food moving into 100% plastic bag whenever they can. This is also, I want to say, not everyone can move to 100% paper product here because it's a dry food. Also here, as a kind of communication with the consumer, they are even putting 100% compostable package before their logo. So see how much it is really important for the consumer. Last but not least, we go to the legal factor. And I know now in Europe, it's a hot topic because there's a lot of discussion now in Europe regarding the revision of the plastic waste and the food packaging, recycling, and all of this. So it's really sensitive because they keep on changing. And I have to show you this example from France. France, I'm sure you know about it. They introduced a new resolution or a new decree to oblige the fast food industry or the fast food restaurant to use the reusable packaging. So when we go to McDo, we see this kind of packaging that they are made of plastic and they are reusable, which is really good. But we really need to look at the other way of the story. The other way of the story is that these packaging, they need to be washed, they need to be sanitized. So there's also a strain for the reuse. I'm not saying that it's good or not good. It's a discussion. We really need to evaluate the cost of the water, the cost of the energy, and the human error, because we always have a human error when we have to rewash or reuse any kind of packaging. And I also read a lot of research that the consumers are a little bit skeptical about it, that they prefer to have the regular paper that is single use for this kind of product in the restaurant. Other kind of trends also regarding the design, and here I will leave it to Sylvia because they have a lot of they have an agency for packaging design. That now the trend is to be simple. We are saying less is more. Consumer they don't want to have overcrowded illustration or images. They want the design to be direct to the point, and also people are more into personalized packaging. They like the limited edition. We see a lot of Evian, Nutella at the end of the year, they do this limited edition and consumer like it and sometimes they collect it. Health and wellness is also very important, especially after COVID. So people tend to go to products that they contribute to their well-being. And as we said, the cultural diversity is important. Anti-counterfeit is also very important, especially when we talk about pharmaceutical product, where there's a lot, unfortunately, of fraud. And last but not least, the luxury packaging, especially for the personal care and the cosmetic industry. People want to see their cosmetic in a very fancy or luxurious product. I really thank you for allowing me to provide this intervention today. And Guillaume, see, 15 minutes. Guillaume was very worried about my presentation.
It's what I was going to say.
So I started. It's a 15 minutes, not even 20 minutes. So thank you. Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you.
No, thank you, Soha. Thank you very much. It's very interesting, all your inputs, and to see all the factors that are impacting the packaging industry and all the trends. So thank you. I remind our auditors that they can ask questions and really in the Q&A or the chat sections of the teams, and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. But so thank you again, Soha. We will speak with you at the end of the webinar with the questions. And let's go on with you, Sylvia. Thank you, Sylvia Vitale Rotta, to be with us. As an introduction, I'm going to present you. So Sylvia, you are a true citizen of the world. You were born in Tanzania to Italian parents and graduate from the Royal Art School in London. And it was there that you met Nick Craig, with whom you founded Team CREATIF in 1986. Since then, the design agency has become a reference for the French and international markets. So it helps its clients to build the success of their brands and products in 52 countries around the world. So, and you are also president of the EPDA, the European Packaging Design Association. So thank you, Sylvia, sorry, for being with us also today. And maybe let's start with a few words regarding the presidency of EPDA and what is this association.
Good morning, everybody, and so happy to talk to you all. Thank you to ALL4PACK and Guillaume and all his team for allowing me to do this. In fact, yes, I am the honor or have the honor of being the president of the EPDA. And the EPDA reunites 60 different design agencies in the world, and all of us have one strong expertise, which is obviously the branding and the packaging of products. We are all designers or product designers or structural designers, digital retail activation, and we obviously deal with everything that deals with a product that needs to be either packed or presented or named or sold in a retail context. So everything we all live with every day, we are part of the designers that actually design that all over the world. We are very proud because there is almost 17 countries represented, and we always get together at least twice a year to try and share knowledge, because one of the biggest needs of today is to be able to share knowledge with our peers and to try and apply what one does in one country in another, either the best practice rules or sometimes rules that should not be done. So I now represent this organization since almost a year, and I'm very proud to be part of so much talent and experience. Okay. As Guillaume so very well said, Team CREATIF was born from 3 design cultures. Obviously, Nick Craig, the British design thinking, 360 pragmatism. Myself, obviously, Italian with the power of intuition. It still is something extremely valuable. And I say to all the ladies and all the gentlemen and all the people on this webinar that really intuition sometimes often makes the difference in any design or creative business. And then, of course, having the assessment of the data that needs to prove everything. And then we decided to live in France, to open a design agency in France. And yet we did not speak a word of French. But we honestly believed that design was a universal language. And one can say it is. And therefore, we didn't need to speak French. At the time, obviously, 38 years ago, there was a lot of French people that didn't speak English, but obviously now it is not so much the case. What is very important is that, in fact, the meeting of these 3 world cultures make it that we can really say that we are aware of all this vegan, vegetarian world, which is maybe a little bit less present in France, but a lot more present in other countries. Obviously, the technical engineering, innovation, urban vertical farming that comes from the French, as well as obviously all the countries that surround us. And of course, from Italy, this very important tradition of soul, slow and whole food agriculture, which in a way has also helped spread this Mediterranean language across the world. Team CREATIF today benefits from obviously 4 region footprints. We are strong in Asia Pacific with Singapore and Jakarta, France, obviously with Lyon, Paris, Portugal, USA, and of course, Brazil. This means that when we work, everything we do for our clients, we really try and embrace all the needs, as Soha so rightly said, between the international certifications, the regional European or whatever region certification, and of course, the local needs of the consumer. What's very important is that packaging is for people. Let's never forget that. It's no point creating packaging or designing beautiful packs or brands if there's no people that need them. And that is the biggest element. We have to do packaging that has to communicate to people that can obviously read, but also to people that cannot. And as Soha so rightly says, packaging has got a huge role. It needs to be safe. It needs to transport the food. It needs to keep the hygiene, the good taste, especially in certain countries where the level of humidity is so high that if the packaging was not really hermetic, we would have issues, as well as obviously all the insects and the bugs. So at the end of the day, when we're talking about packaging, we ask packaging and everybody in the industry to do miracles, literally miracles, because sometimes packs go through torture tests before they actually get to the consumer, then get used, and then obviously get thrown away in the trash can. You can almost go shopping and fill a caddy, a supermarket caddy, with our brands. Some of these brands, you know, well, all of them we've taken through 38 years. Some of them we've worked for 35 years for some of them. Over all this enormous transition from 38 years ago, where it was just sell, 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 sell. And then today, where everybody has to sell with a lot of responsibility. And the responsibility is not only on the packaging, it is also on what we put inside. So we are big believers of better eating. You are what you eat. Your health depends on what you eat. And although some countries or areas are less fortunate than others, all of us as industry people, we should be very careful of what we put inside. because we are all socially responsible of that, the recipe, what it holds. And then, of course, comes the responsibility, as Soha so rightly said, about the packaging and what the packaging has to do. It has to be safe and everything we've already discussed. There are thousands of certifications all over the world. It is quite amazing how many have been edited. Some of them are known, a lot of them are not known, and some of them benefit from being known visually. In other words, visually, the consumers recognize them and they know that they represent something. And what's important is, what does it mean? Because in fact, 63 of the world's consumers think food is an act of citizenship. 36% of consumers are more aware of the environmental ethical issues, and 58% prioritize the low environmental impact. So the brands need the support of the industry to really keep up and to satisfy all these people. We did a study in Europe and one in France, and one can see the percentages. We don't need to go through all these percentages, but one can see how important the waste issue was, the fact of always buying seasonal fruit, the fact of bringing a shopping bag, simple, easy things that we have all tried to bring into our daily habits. Reducing meat, eating more vegetables, reusing packaging, favoring the short distribution, and of course, the trying to bake or returnable products in certain countries. What one is interesting is how low bulk food is. Why? Because in certain countries, bulk cannot always be available or cannot be hygienic. And of course, the pandemic made it that bulk food, especially in certain European countries that are not geared for it, completely not acceptable. Another thing is to eat better and therefore be more ready to actually put an effort. People don't really want to put much effort, as Soha said, to open a pack, no matter how ecological it is. If it's impossible to open, or it's impossible to serve, or to stock, they will not necessarily buy it again. Water bottles at one time cut down the weight of the PET, of the plastic, so much that the bottle, as it got empty, actually squashed on the table. You couldn't pour it. So obviously this was a bad solution that couldn't possibly be sustainable, because although it was really ecological, it did not serve its primary purpose. Other products, which are the fact of being able to refill, a lot of people don't really have the time. And even though if they do it once, they won't necessarily do it twice or 3 or 4 times. So that's another issue. The same as bringing back return. In certain countries, very, very disciplined. In others, they're not. So all that means that we are asking miracles for the products. 63% of French people will abandon a favorite brand, at least in déclaratif, by declaring in a test. Will they really do it on the shelf? Yes, they're starting to do it as well on the shelf. They will maybe stop buying a product because there is another solution which is more sustainable. And of course, this would, some of them declare, be careful, they declare that they would be ready to pay 6.3% more for something that was eco-designed, biodegradable, zero plastic. Be careful, this is a declaration during tests in France. So obviously on the market itself, they may not actually be ready to spend more money. But what is good is that the intention is there. And that, of course, the intention may become reality. So when we design, we really have to be conscious of these 3 elements. The financial stakes, because obviously brands have huge factories. The factories have been running for many, many, many years. And no matter how strong the design agency is, we can recommend to change the shape or the material or be more ecologically correct. They can't just do it in 2 seconds. It's not possible. So we really have to be careful that when we design, we have to be very conscious of feasibility. However, what is great is that you have to start somewhere. So as they say, the very important Chinese saying, 1 step in the right direction is already a good thing. And here is how a brand can slowly be taken to where she needs to land as soon as possible, of course, to make everything feasible, including the certification and certification that is understandable by the consumer. In our company, we created a small tool, but it's very useful for the designers. In other words, to be able to quite quickly, as we are designing, to judge, are we overusing the amount of ink? In other words, are we doing a design that is going to be probably not recyclable, even though the paper and everything is recyclable, probably not recyclable, because we've covered the design in ink. So obviously it's not recyclable. So we try and minimize the ink coverage, and don't worry, sometimes you can cover a design with ink, but you mustn't put too many layers, because when you put too many layers of colors to compose another color, you would probably end up having too much ink on one surface. So stand green is a method that we have actually developed, obviously with data. We will give you the data at each creation to say this creation is more sustainable than this one. And this, of course, is a huge benefit for our clients and brands, because it gives them courage. It gives them courage to say, we've done at least 1 step in the right direction. Obviously, the EPDA members, we also led a monkey survey across our 60-member agencies. And what was fantastic was that a lot of them, when you asked them how they define sustainability, they felt that the life cycle assessment was very important. The eco design was just as important, and the eco production. So this made us realize that there was 3 very strong areas in which we could help people. So we are now setting up within the EPDA, obviously one has to become a member of it, 4 workshops. We're going to try and do 3 in 2024. The first one will be on European regulation, because obviously our clients and everybody's clients are going to have to abide by the European regulations. So we can help them through design and the support of the industry of packaging, as Soha so rightly said, to be as feasible as possible to answer the certification, European, but also, of course, local or worldwide. And the next one will be the workshop, which is how to design beautifully, holistically, while still keeping in mind cardboard that's been recycled, maybe using less colors, maybe using less coverage of colors. And then, of course, how we share all this information between the agencies, the designers, the peers, the schools, the universities, as well as obviously our industry partners. A few quick examples how Badois improved incredibly the recyclability, going from red bottles that created a huge buzz on the shelf to daring to go to white transparent bottles. How Actimel managed to take away its sleeve. When you think sometimes a family can drink 6 Actimel bottles a day, how much pollution it was creating, and the fact of taking away the sleever and actually embossing the brand in the bottle was an incredible asset. How vegetables, Bonduelle, they're leaders in the world market on vegetables, how by selling vegetables, they not only made you eat better and promoted better eating, but also could ecologically become a lot more sustainable in their bags, in their tin cans, etc. Again, how some materials are compostable. Therefore, this is very important, but we have to be very, very careful. Sometimes with compostable material, the volumes are sometimes not available for very, very, very big industries, food industries. And then, of course, the Mars reaction, where they literally concentrated the branding on one area of the pack. So as you can see, fantastic use of ink use, because they do have quite strong colors. So colors that I've asked for a few layers. Well, it's okay, because a lot of the rest of the packaging is possible to still stay compostable. What obviously is important is that design agencies have to trust, obviously, the information that is given. And sometimes, yes, as Soha said, plastic is not necessarily the world's enemy. Sometimes one does something thinking it's more ecological, more sustainable. And then when you actually do the whole life cycle of the product, it ends up being less sustainable than plastic. So agencies obviously try and be as careful as possible with the data, but we rely on the industry and on the clients as well to have all the data, and the certification will help to never ever cheat the consumer, never overdo it, because if we overdo it, the consumers won't believe us anymore, and to try and make them understand simple things, but at least understand everything they can understand, rather than saturating the consumer with information that they will never understand. And therefore, if they don't understand, well, they won't adhere. Thank you so much for this time. I hope I'm on time. I think I am. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to everybody.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Thank you. That was also very interesting. And I think it's very good to see so you see the applause and the thumb up of all the auditors. So I think that we learn a lot through also the examples, and we see that it's very difficult also to go forward for the company. So maybe a first question to you, Soha or Sylvia. We see that the packaging industry is very challenged, as we say, with many things to change, sustainability, looking at all the factors you detailed, Soha. Do you think that it's more the big international group that do a lot, or more the small local industry that are making new developments in packaging all over the world? Maybe, Sylvia, you want to start answer this question, or Soha?
Yes, I think that the reality is the smaller actually encouraged or stimulated, challenged the big ones to assume, to take on their huge responsibility. And I think that now the big industries, because obviously they have the footprint, they have the capital, they have the finances, they have the impact to be able to do something, and they are really, really all doing everything they can. Some of the results will only be seen a little bit later, because they are huge programs and they take time to actually happen. However, it is fantastic to see the movement compared to before the pandemic, where the movement was, let's see if we're really going to go. And now there is no doubt about it. Everybody is doing everything they can, whether they're small, medium, or large.
And how fast do you think it's going to? You say it's accelerating, but does it accelerate quick enough, I would say, to make this change?
We can all dream. We can all dream, and we all dream for our kids, for the planet, for it to go faster. But I was lucky enough to be in a fantastic dinner with Jane Goodall. She is 91 years old lady. It was an amazing dinner, and she was telling us how everything started almost 40 years ago. 40 years ago, she was helping people to become conscious of the planet. And it's never too late. It's never too late. And I think that what's important is that we really all believe that everything we can do will be one step in the right direction. It will go as fast as the world can go, as consumers can accept, as finance can accept. But we're already, you know, in a fairly good place. And I think certifications like B Corp, we were lucky enough to be certified. We worked very hard. It took us almost 3 years to get the certification B Corp, but we feel so much cleaner now that we've got it, because it makes us very conscious of what we can achieve. And I think our clients and all clients are willing to do what it needs. We can do more, of course.
And at the international level, or do you see discrepancies between areas? I mean, like between Asia, Pacific, Europe, and America, different speed level, or?
Yes, yes, there is obviously, and it's a bit normal. It's a bit normal. There is definitely when, I mean, we went to Indonesia on even a year ago, and the river, you cannot see the water in the river. Please, you have to believe me, I have pictures. You cannot see the water in the river. The river is just full of cans and bottles, plastic bottles of all brands. I won't mention the brands because it wouldn't be right to mention them. They're all there. Every single brand that you use every day and people use every day. It was just a river of plastic. And it's just so sad. So sad. Yes. So yes, they don't have recycling capacities as much as they need. So because of that, you know, it's inevitable. And maybe the people are not aware either. They're fighting to survive, to live, let alone worry. And the fact that they've been saturated with products from Europe, America, China, wherever, you know, they do what they can. So we are responsible. So, and, you know, but we can still dream.
Okay. And we've got a questions from Fabrice Pelletier. He said, regarding France and the eco-design of packaging, how do you think France is seen in eco-design as a leader, or?
I think France is pretty good, and we are, I mean, I'm not French, I'm Italian, but we're international. But I think France is really good because they really put a lot of deepness into it. However, as often France, we're not very good at communicating it. So I think we do a lot more than a lot of countries think, but we're not very good at shouting out about ourselves. We're not maybe communicating as strongly as we could. And that's why I am proud of being the EPDA president, because I do try and bring forward that Europe and France and countries like even Italy become stronger at communicating, because we are quite forward in it. It's just that we don't communicate it maybe enough.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe Soha, because we were speaking about, thank you very much, Sylvia. Soha, we were speaking about the international challenges, the big challenge regarding the environmental impact of packaging. You said that you're going to the COP28 today or tomorrow with the World Packaging Organization. What do you expect there for the packaging industry? What do you think you're going to discuss and decide maybe at this big event? Your microphone is off, just to switch it off. Yeah, yeah, that's okay.
First, let me comment on the first question where Sylvia responded. I want to say something really, especially after following what is happening in the COP in the past 2 days. I'm proud of the packaging industry, really, on the global level, because the example that I have shown and the example shown by Sylvia can see that the packaging industry is really moving and is really doing a lot of changes in reducing the packaging material whenever they can. They are moving into monomaterial or paper, or so we can see the example of Badois, Coca-Cola, Evian, many many companies are really, even bigger company like Nestle, P&G, they are really moving and they are really working a lot in order to become sustainable. So the packaging industry is responding to the challenge of the our planet and the climate change, because we have only one planet. And but the problem is not only with the packaging industry. This is the problem. People think that the consumer, when they see the waste, this is the problem. The problem is really in the biggest industry, the fuel industry, the electric, for example, car industry, which is really good. They are going into hybrid. So packaging industry is really one part of the problem. The problem lays down in different big sectors. And unfortunately, I'm reading yesterday that some big big countries like Russia, China, they didn't sign the commitment to reduce the fossil and the petroleum use. So I'm telling you, the problem is not only with the packaging industry. On the opposite, I'm really proud, and as a World Packaging Organization, we see a lot of development on the FMCG level. And as Fabrice, I'm happy to have Fabrice here. He did last year in your 2 years ago in your show this this space to show the sustainable move and the before and after. So no, we are doing well on the packaging industry. What you asked me about the COP, I hope we will be able to decide. I don't know if we will be able to decide, but I'm happy. It's the first time for the World Packaging Industry, World Packaging Organization to be invited to the COP. We will be having a panel where we're gonna talk about how packaging is important to avoid food waste. Because I'm telling you, I visited 2 years ago Dubai Expo, and really I have seen that they are highlighting packaging as if it's the bad thing, as Sylvia saying, rivers or ocean all filled with plastic bottles and all of this. But really the problem of this is not the packaging, it's us, the consumer, who are throwing this and littering this in the ocean. So we are really going there to improve this image on packaging and packaging waste, that people only see it in the litter. No, packaging is very important, because packaging is extending shelf life. Packaging preserve the food and avoid food waste. And we want to talk about optimum packaging, and that there's a new development in packaging and in plastic, as we said, because always plastic is labeled as a bad guy. There's a lot of technology with bioplastic, with recycled plastic, and all of this. So we are there to increase the awareness on the importance of packaging also for sustainability.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. And there is also an interesting question regarding, because we speak a lot about the packaging material, as you said, and I'll have another question regarding education. But first, maybe for you, Sylvia, because they said, okay, whatever the packaging material is, the challenge is to collect the waste before it goes into the nature. And what are maybe the actions or communications on the respects from EPDA or from other associations, well, packaging organization, for instance, you're doing with the packaging brands on that? Your microphone, sorry.
I totally agree with what Soha says. The packaging world has made huge progress, for sure. The issue is obviously not only the packaging world, but what you do with it after. And we work with the United Nations. We work for the United Nations almost now for 4 years to supply a brand, a food brand for small local farmers to actually sell their products with a brand and not in bulk, so that they can get enough money by selling it in a packet to then feed their family, no matter how small their little farm is. If they sell their products in a packed, marketed brand, they will obviously sell their product a little bit more expensive and be able to live with it. And in fact, what we came up against in Africa was there is no recyclable facilities. And even though you may educate the people to put it in the bins, to get the collection done, unfortunately, the big industries and the governments have not invested to give them recycling stations. And this is somehow the responsibility of all the brands, of all the industry, and of course the governments. Because really and truly, everybody can do everything, but if then you cannot get rid of the packaging, it's not right. And who can do that? We should have we should have invested. The brands, there should have been a forum, something to be able to make people invest, to actually equip Africa, not only with recycling stations, but also with the people to obviously look after them and transmit the technology. So we now, with the United Nations, are looking at what you can do, and obviously obliging the governments to actually spend the money they get. They get millions and millions and millions into the recycling issue. So this will be a huge lobby that will obviously have to be manned to explain what happens, no matter how many efforts are done. The end of it is what you do with it, which is the recycling.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, because there are maybe just there are 4 minutes left, but there is a question. So regarding the expectation among the consumers, do the consumers want really to how? Sorry, the question is the ability to authenticate a product before purchase, is it a significant expectation among consumers? So do you think that the consumer, they expect to, when they buy a product, to know well about the material? Because, for example, Soha, you said also that people are confused. They need to be educated regarding the materials with that little basic version. So what are really the expectations of the consumers to help them maybe recycling or even like buying, I mean, the product, the good product? I don't know if Soha, you want to?
Soha, does she want to answer? Because obviously
your microphone.
Yes. So the question is, what about the consumer if they are ready to? Can you just reformulate it? If they are aware, or what is the question exactly?
Is there a significant expectation of the consumer regarding the ability to authenticate a product? Or
yes, I told you in my presentation, the consumers, let's face it, are not really aware about the technical terms that sometimes the brand owners put it on their label, like monomaterial or recycled or recycling or PCR. All of these information are technical for the consumers. And here I think the brand owner should educate the consumer about the material and also about how to dispose. I see a lot, for example, of household detergent, for example, for their shrink file, they put a link how to remove it, and because for the recycling it's better to throw the bottles alone and the shrink label alone. So some brand owners are putting a kind of tips on their packaging or labeling to really educate the consumers how to dispose, because this is very, very important. Sylvia also talked about it. Sometimes the brand owners are doing a lot of effort and a lot of technology and investment and R&D to move into sustainability, but the major problem is the lack of recycling facilities. And this is the problem. The consumers are ending up, especially in developing country and even in developed country, that they don't know where to throw the labels, or if there's really going to be a recycling after this end of life for the packaging. So it's a loop, it's a cycle, and unfortunately this cycle is not complete. This is the problem. This cycle is not complete because the government and the private sector need to invest more and more in recycling and waste management facility. This is what is lacking. I'm telling you that the packaging industry is really doing their job, and they are really doing a lot of effort. And we have seen just a few examples, and there's a lot of examples more about how the industry is moving into sustainability, but this is not enough. We need to close the loop. We need to have the recycling facilities there, and this is the problem.
Absolutely. It's the major problem.
So that's what we're reaching the end of the webinar. So maybe that was your last word. I don't know, Soha, if you want to add something.
No, I really thank you. I thank All4PAC. I thank Guillaume, and I have the honor to meet Sylvia, really very interesting person, and also looking forward to know more about your company and about ENDP, your organization. And we are really relying on you, Guillaume, to make more and more webinars to make the consumer aware. Maybe we can have a more technical webinar on other important topics. And as WPO, we are ready to join forces in this important mission. Thank you.
Thank you, with pleasure. And Sylvia, maybe a last word?
Yes, I'll copy what Soha has just said. So happy to have met you, Soha, and EPDA are really flattered to be here. And thank you, Guillaume. And I think between the three of us and everybody who has been on this webinar today, we have given one little seed in the right direction. So we have to believe in our dreams and carry on believing in them. If Jane Goodall can believe in it, and she's 91 years old and has been at it for 40 years, we still have many, many years in front and lots of energy to do it and passion. So let's try all together to achieve what we can achieve. And thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very, very interesting. We learned a lot, and for sure we'll do many things in the future together to learn more about packaging and sharing that with our All4PACK Emballage Paris community, as we call it now. And of course, we will meet at the trade show in November from 4th to 7th in Paris-Nord-Villepinte in a bit less than 1 year. But by then, we will meet with webinar, etc. So I invite everyone to log on to our social networks, LinkedIn, and also our newsletters on our website to know more about our next events. Hopefully, with you, Soha and Sylvia, will say that. Thank you very much. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.